welcome. A severe fuel crisis has hit Nigeria, with petrol prices skyrocketing to over 1,000 naira per litre in many parts of the country, causing widespread panic and disruption to daily life. Now, the upward adjustment comes after the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited finally admitted facing financial strain due to the high cost of fuel importation and the indebtedness to oil suppliers amounting to over $6 billion. Now, many people have been left stranded with long queues at petrol stations nationwide, while others have been forced to trek long distances as public transport prices now have doubled along some routes. The situation has also fueled a thriving black market, with a litre of petrol selling for as high as 1,500 naira in some locations. Now, what the NNPC has done is to officially announce an adjustment in price. Now, as we speak, NNPC has adjusted the price, the official price, as we speak today across the country. That's at NNPC filling station is around over 800 naira. In fact, max 897 naira. So experts have criticized the government's handling of the oil and gas sector, citing poor management and a lack of transparency. Also reacting to the price hike, the Nigeria Labour Congress says it feels betrayed, explaining that the reason it accepted the new minimum monthly wage of 70,000 naira in July was because of an agreement with the government that petrol price now would not be increased. Nigerians are now pinning their hopes on the new privately owned Dangote Petroleum Refinery, which commenced petrol production now and possibly supply on September the 3rd, 2024, with NNPCL as the sole off-taker of the product in the country. Now, this fuel shortage is part of a broader economic challenge facing Nigeria, and many have said the recent adjustment in the price will definitely have a huge impact on inflation. But joining me now to provide some perspective to all of this is economist Dr. Ken Ife, who joins us from Abuja. Doc, thank you very much for your time. Let me start. Let me start by asking you first is, these adjustments that have been made, upward adjustments now in the price of petrol, what impact is this going to have on inflation in the country?
Oh, definitely. Definitely it's going to push up inflation. We are just happening to turn the curve on the inflation, driven by the food prices that are slowing, although that's slowing down by food sub-index, inflation sub-index, is going to be tempered by two things. One, the flood, and then also the 1 month break in rain, August break. So that affected a lot of crops. But there's also going to be counterbalanced by the 6 months license to import food. So give and take, we would have continued in that slight drop, but now the petrol is going to hike it again. So definitely that's the point, because it goes to transport costs. Transport costs go direct to transferring goods, whether the goods are coming from the seaport or coming from the frontier states, northern states, down is going to affect that. So, but we have to see where the balance is going to be found.
How bad do you think this is for the economy?
Well, it depends on what else, compensating mechanisms, because you also have other compensating mechanisms. For example, I say that whilst it's going to push prices up, there's also the potential that the low cost of import, because duties are being removed for the next 6 months, will bring a lot of food in, and that will still push down inflation. So, but definitely on balance, that is going to cause some havoc, because many people that take their cars to work can't even afford it anymore. But it's not the end of the story. That's not the end of the story. There are other things that we have to consider. This is just the opening salvo, but there are many other things that have to be considered, and that's why I'm going to have to ask for caution. We are in a state of flux right now. We know a few things. There have been bigger questions about why would NNPC continue in the monopoly of PMS. Now, number two question is, how about the recent approval by the president of purchase the crude in Naira and then sell the crude, PMS in Naira. Has it crystallized? That is very important because that is a major thing that has to happen. Then the third question is about operational efficiency of NNPC. When is it going to capital market? So that we can progress this octopus to make sure that it yields good result for us in the country. So these are two big questions. But why I'm asking for caution is we have to allow, we only just learned that NNPC is owing over $6 billion. Yes. We've only just learned that there may well be subsidy somewhere, as we have seen. Then we have only just seen Dangote open the tap for PMS, which is great news for the country. We've only just seen that the capacity is there. When the government has the capacity to stop the queue that we are having, the fuel queue that we are having, and the shortage that we are having, that the capacity is there to deal with this. So there will be a negotiation, without a doubt. So that's why I'm saying, hold on. Don't jump into the street, because there are so many issues to be resolved. So I would say, go to negotiating table, because there are major issues to be resolved. And it's only when we negotiate that we can find the impact of having, if Dangote receives his crude in Naira and he's selling in Naira, we will want to see what that means. If over a month that he supplies it, we will want to see what it translates to.
But do you think that will make any difference at all? I mean, this idea of Dangote
it will make a huge difference, because Dangote has the capacity to supply all the fuel that we need. It definitely makes a difference. So the calculation is no longer just between us and NNPC, but Dangote enters into the equation, because we can see his capacity. We can see that he's getting the crude in Naira. He now see that the equation will change completely. And in the context of discussing this, that is where you now look at, oh, wait a minute, what is the markup from NNPC after receiving the petrol from Dangote? How do you compare that to if Dangote was selling to the market? So all of these questions will come out.
But let me ask you,
and that's why you say, okay, what? The monopoly of PMS by NNPC doesn't need to exist anymore. All of these things will come out when you are negotiating. And then also you are going to say, but wait a minute, what about the wider issue about the operational efficiency of NNPC? So why don't we go to the market instead of continuing to securitize our crude? Why don't we, and then having all this, go to the capital market, sell 10% of the share, change that, make it like LNG. So all these things will come out. So that's why I'm saying precipitate action is just going to mess everything up. Let's negotiate, let's talk. Give it 1 or 2 months, we will sort it out. And that price could come down significantly.
Let me ask you, Prof, is it really a good idea? Because, I mean, listening to Dangote on the day that he announced the commencement of production now, he said, he said, I mean, we know that NNPC will be the sole buyer of this petrol, and that the government will have to decide the price. And I'm just wondering, is it a good idea that Dangote would be selling this oil only to NNPC? Because what I would have thought is, why is it that people cannot just drive their trucks down to Dangote refinery and buy? Why should it just be the NNPC?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying to you. One step at a time. If you started saying that Dangote can sell completely to everybody and avoid NNPC, you get a bigger fight than you would have expected, because NNPC started from the premise that the government has given them 100% authority to do everything themselves, to a sole exporter of crude, sole importer. So you take it one step at a time, and then you all sort this out in a negotiating table. Because what you are doing about, it's only one case is, why would you continue to exercise monopoly? Look at the evidence. This petrol is coming to you at 550 naira, and you are trying to sell it 800 or something naira. But if it was sold to these people who only said buy it 600, so you don't know. All these facts will come out when we start talking. So you take it one step at a time. So let Dangote ease out his game, give it to him, and then we'll go and negotiate. We'll do it one step at a time. Otherwise, you're going to wreck the country completely. Because you're going to say that stuff. How are you going to pay the $6 billion that NNPC is owing? How about the commitment NNPC has made to Afrexim Bank? How about more sports sales? How about all that you haven't? Take it easy. It will all be sorted out. because I believe that NNPC could even raise over $50 billion on a recapitalization program. When it goes to capital market, it could raise $50 billion, it could get $70 billion, it could raise any more money. So let's take it easy. That is the thing, and we'll get it all through negotiation, not by disruption and precipitate action.
Let's talk about this issue of subsidy now, because even at 897 naira to a liter, there's still a differential. There's still some level of subsidy, whether or not we like it. The government may not want to admit it.
No.
So there is some,
without
a doubt, there is subsidy there. But the question to ask is, Nigerians do not see it that way. I mean, for Nigerians at 897 naira, to them it's like subsidy is gone completely. But then the subsidy is still there. Is this a case of the government trying to, say, lessen the burden of subsidy now, and that's the reason it decided to increase the price of petrol, especially when you consider the fact, just as you've said, that NNPC is owing oil suppliers over $6 billion?
Well, I wouldn't accuse government that much, because NNPC is a separate entity, even though it's 100% owned by government. But we need to take this case on its own merit. We do not know if you say that the actual price of crude, of PMS is 1,200 naira, assuming, what component of that price structure is a professional inefficiency of NNPC? How much? You don't know. We know that there is a huge saving by not transporting this crude out, transporting it back, refining it out there in Belgium and wherever. We know there's a huge savings. We also know that there's a huge savings in selling the crude in naira to Dangote and other modular refineries, and then buying it back in naira. We know there are huge savings. But these are things that you have to get to the bottom of when we sit around the table to say, okay, look at Dangote is here, he's sitting there. Dangote, tell us what it will cost you, what it is costing you at the moment, what is it selling. You see all that figure out there, but you have to sit down on a table to have the discussion. And then now turn and look at about legacy issues on NNPC, because they have lots of legacy issues. Look about the debts that they have already incurred. We have to see how they will manage themselves out of this debt. And then also future obligations. Before you start cancelling those obligations, you remember, you cancel anyhow, they go to international court and get judgment against you and start seizing some of our assets, federal assets. So these things will have to be managed and rolled over in very short time. But the questions are many. I've just mentioned the three big questions. They will all be addressed at the same time, and you get a sustainable solution. And I promise you that it will lead to a price drop on petroleum price. I
mean, at the moment, Nigerians are going through very difficult times. I mean, things are really tough. And the question is, with this latest increment, what would you say, Prof? What cushioning effects would you like to see the government put in place immediately? I mean, the government the other time talked about the CNG buses. They're just coming in trickles. We've not seen so many CNG buses out there. We don't even know what the state governments are doing to support even what the federal government is doing. Just at least to lessen the burden on Nigerians. What exactly would you want to see?
Well, I mean, my heart bleeds when I think about this, and then when you describe it. The thing is that I'm looking at matter of months, not matter of a year. I'm talking about 3 months, for example, at the most. There may be an intensification of the delivery of those CNG buses immediately. There may be more, because states will have to get involved. So it's not just federal buying them, states will also have to get involved in buying them. But you want to see an intensification of the palliatives. But I think we are talking about actually 2-3 months of negotiation to come to the grassroots, to the bedrock, to get to the root of this. It's not going to be 1 year. It's not going to be 6 months. I'm talking about literally a month to 2 months. Because when decisions are taken, for example, President says, okay, you know what? Just like Saudi Arabia did. Saudi Arabia said, I don't want to borrow 25 billion from World Bank or IMF. No. Tell me the value of Saudi Aramco, their oil company. They valued it at $1.5 trillion. He said, I didn't know I have that kind of money. All right, sell 5%. And they got the money they wanted. But because the new transparency, accountability, and prudence, corporate governance that came around that Saudi Aramco, from 2019 when it was valued at 1.5 trillion, 2 years after that, 2021, it was valued at 2.3 trillion. Everybody was pouring money into Saudi Aramco. That's what I'm saying to you. It's not a rocket science. If we make that decision, immediately these guys will move to market. You will have all the money that will bankroll all the debt and then put a lot of dollar in the reserve of our country. So it's not a problem at all.
Why do you think the end?
But if you fight and you go on the street, you destroy everything.
What do you think has been delaying the NNPC from listing on the stock exchange, from going public in the real sense of it?
It's a work in progress.
It's
That's the only thing I can tell you. It's a work in progress. There are many things that are work in progress. But when the searchlight is on, and then you could see that quicker decisions could be made much more rapidly.
But certainly the delays are actually not good for the economy at all. But just before I let you go, Prof, if you were speaking to Nigerians at this time, as an economist now, what would you tell them to do now to manage and deal with the current difficulties, especially when it comes to transportation costs? And obviously we're going to see, I mean, this is definitely going to have a ripple effect on prices across board. How do they deal with this?
What I will say to Nigerians is that what has happened now, this latest hike of to 897 naira is actually a trigger for the solutions. The solutions are here. We all know the solutions. But the trigger, this is the trigger for you to now have an urgency. The urgency to get to that solution. And the solution is there. So please, the solution is definitely not go to the street and disrupt and burn. It will cost money. It will do more damage. You're still losing lives. You've had a successful demonstration that didn't lose life. And we thank God. We don't want one that will lose life. We don't need to shed blood for anybody. The solution is around. It is known. It is possible. It is just a matter of this your trigger. We will now trigger a major revision of everything all together. And you will see that the solution is already there. There are investors that want to come into this space that have their money, but they just need that clearance and that resolve. And they will come in and things will move expeditiously.
Professor Kenife, Global Economic Consultant, thank you very much for your time and thanks for coming on the show.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you very much. All right, we'll take a short break and we'll be right back. Stay with us, don't go away. Opinions are free, facts are sacred, but truth is universal. How, in practical terms, can we, for instance, de-escalate the tension?
When you go into public office, you must be ready to answer to the people.
We know where the enemy is. 3 places. The Lake Chad Basin, the border area between Nigeria and Cameroon, and then the Sambisa Forest.
On DEJI360, we give you a complete dose of everything. Opinion, facts, and undiluted truth.
I hardly believe what politicians say in this part of the world.
A new Nigeria is possible, a future is possible.
We delve into the issues, dissect it so that you can understand it, and use it to take action.
I don't think there's any need for any governor to look for grant for ranching.
DEJI360, dissecting the issues.